What's going on YouTube? Welcome to episode 142 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Also, don't forget to join the Discord. I'll have a link in the description below. Right now I'm doing a poll on my next ship build. So if you'd like to get involved with that, just click on the link below, and then once you join in the Discord, be sure to click on next ship build polls. This way you can get involved in what my next build is going to be on Minecraft. Anyway, we've got about a 22-minute episode. We're going to be continuing our work on the cargo room on the Enterprise, as well as the outside doorway for that. And then we're also going to dip back into the primary shuttle bay. So go ahead, kick back, relax, and let's go ahead and jump right into this today. I think we're actually going to be working on the flooring a little bit on the crew deck that I was talking about in yesterday's episode as we're editing our roof. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of what I meant with that, just so you can see it. I wasn't actually going to show it, but I was like, you know what, let me just throw it in just in case somebody has questions. Now, the only thing I'm not doing here that we are going to do, I'm just going to prep you guys ahead of time, but I will show it on the tutorial. You're not going to see me add walls here, but this is going to be something that I am going to add. Without this doorway here, we're going to, right on basically the lip of this gray here, we're going to do a row of the white concrete, or actually the white quartz, going all the way back. This way we just have a nice little doorway cut coming out, and it's nice and clean. And then we'll even do detailing in the floor as well, but we won't get into that today. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to make it to where those of you that want to close this up, you can have it closed. Those of you that want this opened to be able to just, you know, to have the ship kind of like, and I don't know what kind of mode you would call it, but basically the mode where all the doorways are open on the ship, that you'll be able to do that, and it'll look good. I think I was trying to figure out which way I wanted to go in, but really what we're going to be doing here in just a second, now we have the doorway out, we're going to be cutting out our outline for our actual door. So we've got our height. And I'm doing this the harder way. The easiest way to go about this is to do the walls and the sides first. It'll make that just a little bit easier for you. It's not like it's necessarily very hard to, you know, determine your cut line here, but that will make it a little bit easier for those of you that are maybe having trouble determining that right here. You can see one of those windows are in the way. We're going to be getting rid of that. Another thing that we're going to be doing is swapping out these full blocks for half slabs. This way it just looks a little bit cleaner on the inside anyway. Even though we're not necessarily going to see this part of the ship when it's closed in, I still want it to look nice and pretty. Because basically what I'm trying to do here is to make it to where, oh, we're also going to be deleting those windows. I'm trying to make it to where if you want to go in and you want to close this area or open this area up, it's just a matter of deleting the half slabs within this gray outline that I'm making. It'll look very, very clean. We're going to have to go down just one more. There we go. And see, and I had talked about this, that, you know, when they showed the cargo room on Next Gen, I'm fairly certain that it actually had a cargo room door. And I was a little confused because I'd never seen an extra doorway on the Enterprise D. So then that got me to thinking, like, okay, I'm like, well, is there actually 3 shuttle bays, or is there 2 shuttle bays in a cargo room? And from what I could tell, the ship has 3 shuttle bays. It has the primary, secondary, and tertiary. Unless I'm wrong, and I don't think I am. I could be. but that's just based on what I could find online when I researched it. So I just ultimately decided to do is that, I found the space that worked best for me to add in this cargo room, and now I want to make it to where we can get outside the ship just as it looked on the show. Um, so that's why I'm adding in these extra doorways, even though that they're not on the Enterprise D that you can actually see. Um, that is going to be something that I wanted to include just so it looks a little bit nicer. Yeah, see the walls here, we should have done this from the get-go. It would have made things just a little bit easier. You can see I even messed up there. I should have went in by one more block. So the easiest solution with that would just be to move make the doorway just one block bigger, rather than just retreading on all that work. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Be easier to do that than to move everything else over. All right, so now we have our little cutout here. We'll come back at another time. We'll add in the detailing in the floor, but we're just going to close that off for right now. And now it's just a matter of repeating that same process again. For whatever reason, I'm not adding in my walls on the sides right now. And I probably figure at this point that I can just see the cut line. I don't necessarily need that guide. So again, for those of you that do need that, if you need to add in the wall just to get your outline for the cutout that you're going to have to make with these half slabs, feel free to do that. I will say at one point, I will have it in the tutorial that you can see um, both all three shuttle bays open and both the cargo doors opened, and it looks pretty good. It doesn't look bad at all. Um, I will say that I do go back and I close it up, um, but that's really just because I want to make it to where um, you guys and I show it in the tutorial where you guys can see, okay, this is how you can close the shuttle bays up and the cargo room up, and it looks good. I didn't want to just leave it opened, but that's still out there for those of you that want to. If you want to leave it open, I don't see a problem with it. Go for it. Now this is going to be something we're going to have to address over here. We're going to have to make this left side slightly bigger because it's only 3, it needs to be 4. So the easiest thing to do is just to move it over by 1. So remember, we go with that rule. If we do one thing on one side and it's supposed to match on the other, we do it on the other side. I could have made it smaller because I think we could have maybe have gotten away with that, only because the secondary and tertiary shuttle bays aren't exactly the same size. So we could have gotten away with it if we really, really wanted to. But, I just decided, I'm like, let's just keep it even on both sides. And I actually need to come down by 1 more row, and then we'll be in good shape. This is why it's always good to double check your work, because you can make a mistake. It's very, very easy. See, on one side I have 2 windows, on the other I have 1. I mean, we could change that, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a big deal, but if really wanted to, we can go in and either add 2 on this side or delete 1 on this side. Either or. I actually needed to go one more row. There we go. Now we're where we need to be. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up the inside. All right. We'll close in this side too, and we'll come back at a later point to do the floor on both the left side and the right side on the interior portion of the, I guess you call it, cross section between the outside and the inside of the cargo room. But I think the cargo room's looking pretty good. Very happy with how it's come out so far. We're just going to whiz outside for a second, take a look at that. And now that I corrected that error where both sides, left and right, match, now our window dilemma there is also matching. And you know what? I don't think that's a big deal having those two squares there. You know, it really doesn't change the ship at all. It really doesn't. I think we can easily get away with that. The only thing we're going to have to do is maybe have an outline in that same gray color for the secondary and tertiary shuttle bay. All right, so now we're moving right along. We are up in the primary shuttle bay, and we're just making some slight changes here. I'm going along the lip here, and I'm taking out the white concrete along our sides here, and I'm swapping that out for the gray. Now, eventually what we're going to do, I don't think we're going to be doing it just yet, but we'll be clearing out some of the roof here so that we can extend our control room going along the left side here and the right side. It's almost designed for it. The roof just isn't high enough. So like basically imagine this, where this is our shuttle bay control room in the middle. We haven't even fleshed out the point to get up there yet, which we're going to. And we'll be able to go down on the left side here, and the right side we'll be able to do that on both sides. So it'll be really cool. The primary shuttle bay will actually have 3 control rooms when it's done. And I think it's going to look great. The crazy thing about this is that my shuttle bay, the primary one, still is only about maybe half the size to the full scale one, which is absolutely insane. You know, I've had people asking me, like, as a joke, like, hey, when are you going to do a full scale Enterprise D? And it's like, y'all are trying to kill me. Because I would be working on this thing for the next 5 years trying to do a full scale Enterprise D. We're already at this point where we're past a year. We're on episode 142, and we're still not done with this thing yet. And I'm at the point where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna finish this ship, and whatever amount of time it takes, that's what it takes. You know, because Next Generation was one of my favorite shows for Star Trek. I loved it. I grew up with it, and I really want to do this ship justice. I don't want to walk away from it before I feel it's done. Now, does that mean that every single room on the interior is going to be completed, or not necessarily every room, but every space? Let me rephrase, that every space on the interior will be filled in? No. And I've talked a little bit about that, you know, we're going to have to cut some corners there so that we're not here for another year trying to finish filling out the rest of the interior. That I'm at the point where I've added in some areas that they did concepts for, but they didn't include it in the show. I think that's great and everything. And now I'm just focused on adding in what actually appeared in Next Generation. and really trying to stay true to that. And whatever extra space I have left over, I have that leftover space. I've said that I probably won't come back and do a season two, which is true. I probably won't. But there's always that chance. I'm doing a season two for the Discovery Enterprise, or the Strange New Worlds Enterprise, from season one that was based off of the Discovery one. But, that one will be more justified because I really only had a handful of screenshots of the interior. I had to really pull from mostly the TOS Enterprise to make that ship happen. Um, so now that Strange New Worlds is out, I really have, that good opportunity where I can actually flesh out that interior and maybe stay a little bit truer to how it's going to look on that show. So now I want to talk a little bit what we got going on here right now. I talked about this in the last episode that this is what I should have done going down the center. Right now we're on our crew deck, which is the very center deck on our saucer. I'm prepping out to do the work for the ceiling for the deck below. Um, and in the middle, of course, not counting our hubs, or hub intersections, we're going to be doing a line of gray down the center. Only for the straightaways. We're not going to mess with the circular corridors. If you want to, once you add this row of gray just in the middle, you can do the row of blue carpeting, or just, to be honest with you, just wait until after you have the floor all the way done, just in case you make a mistake and maybe you have to come back and make an adjustment. Maybe you delete something in the center. I just do it all at once just to make things a little bit easier. You can see I'm doing that across the hub. I shouldn't be doing it on those. But when we get down into that deck, we'll make the necessary changes to fix that. Because now, once all this is done, all four sides, then we're going to go in and delete each side of the blue on the floor here, and then we'll go down a deck below, and then we'll do our sea lanterns for the sides before we add in our this upside down staircases. That's very important. And I think, to be honest with you, the reason why I'm adding those straightaways for those hubs is that there's just so many of them right there, and I'm just not quite sure. I haven't, and you guys can tell, I haven't fully established my rules as far as how I'm going to build this out while I'm hitting all of these hubs. At this point in the stage, it's very much a learning process for me to figure out the best configuration to do it in, and that's just what I decided on. That my experience in after basically going through this deck and everything that we're about to do right now, um, adding in those straightaways. Once we get to those hub intersections, it starts to become hard to add in, to have the staircase going in the configuration that we need it to go into. Because basically what's happening is that we need at least 4 blocks to do the roof per section, at least a 4 block gap to do it in. And some of those hubs are only 2 blocks long, which is why it's giving us a problem. Some of them are only 3 with the actual intersection, the hub intersections. So that's my main reason why I'm just going to be just avoiding those. Now you are going to notice that with me adding in these sea lanterns now we're down in the entertainment deck, we're adding in our lighting, that right where those windows were, that's going to be going into the aquarium. I think I am going to show at least that portion of it. That we'll go back and we'll adjust the aquarium so this way you can't see those sea lanterns, and we cover it up. I had actually spent a considerable amount of time working on the aquarium, trying to get those darn dolphins not only just to stay in the enclosure. And I came to the conclusion that um, the dolphins are basically broken on here. That the only way that they'll stay is if they have an open area where there's no ceiling. And what's happening, I think, is that the hull ceiling, the actual top of the saucer, is what's stopping the dolphins from staying in the enclosure. And, like, I'm not kidding. I've literally done everything I possibly can to keep them inside that enclosure from uh, uh, taking out all the other fish. I've taken out anything that they can get stuck on, all the corals. I've taken out any blocks in the actual tank that can stop them from going up for air. I even adjusted the water level to where it was only 2 blocks high and they were still despawning. And then I finally went in and I named them, and I did 2 a tank. And I actually, I thought at one point that I had fixed it. I even put a post up on Discord. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I figured this out. I'm like, I'm so happy about it. And sure enough, they despawned eventually, and I was just pretty upset about it. Um, you know what? And I stand corrected here. See, we can do this pattern with 3. We at least need 3 though. So I stand corrected on that. I apologize. I did completely miss that. But see, we can do this pattern in the ceiling as long as at least we have 3 or more rows that we can work with. Then we can do that pattern with the ceiling, as we have the staircase going to the left and to the right, and then one straight back in the middle. And now, since we have our lighting in the roof on our entertainment deck, we can get, once we have all of our ceiling in place with the sea lanterns and everything, we can get rid of our lighting in the floor. And it'll be just a lot of a cleaner look. We won't see any of that lighting. It'll be hidden. Um, and I love it. It's a much cleaner look. You know, this is one of the reasons I had somebody suggest it, um, that, you know, that they should have a full range of colored illuminated blocks, and I don't know why they won't add them. I couldn't agree more. Like, this is something that, you know, we need on here, as well as a full range of colored half slabs. The day that they add those 2 things, I will be making so many changes on my build, I can't even tell you. Yeah, so, you know, and I'm not going to do all of this live, but just some of it so you can get the gust of it. But now we're going to go back and cover all this in with that sky blue carpeting. This is going to be the only deck that we're going to do it on, which is the crew deck, the very middle one. Because remember, the entertainment deck, we don't have to worry about the floor. And the same thing with the medical deck will be fine. This isn't something I necessarily wanted to do. I really wanted to have that really, really clean look with the concrete blocks. But, you know, when it comes down to it, I just ultimately decided that having that ceiling in place was something that I had to have. So having one deck with carpeting really wasn't a deal breaker for me, at least just on the straightaways for the crew deck. It's not a big deal. And that's how you change that out. So we won't be spending any more time on that, but I really wanted to go into that a little bit more so you guys can get a really good gauge on what you actually need to do if you want to make those changes yourself. Now, of course, we'll have to, even though that, like on the crew deck here, the left and the middle, basically this entire deck for the straightaways, and then this whole middle area here. Well, anywhere that there was blue, we're going to have to do the blue carpeting just to fix it and make it look, you know, cleaner, I guess. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up today. We shot through 22 minutes. Didn't feel like it, but I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. Right now, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. When I do, I'm doing a tutorial on the U.S.S. Enterprise A 1.1. I can't wait to do that build. And if you want to get a gauge for what that ship is going to look like, go on the Discord and check out my U.S.S. Enterprise A 1.1 concept discussion. I've got a 2-part episode up for it. I've got the first episode focuses on concept art. Then episode 2, I actually have a 3D model that I had commissioned. And that's going to be the ship that I'm going to be building. So if you can help me out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment below on my videos. The more I get, the more traction the channel will get, and more people will see it and will be able to join. So anybody that can help me out and do that, I can't thank you enough for that. Thank you so much. And of course, if you have any questions regarding today's episode, be sure to drop a comment below. I definitely love hearing from everybody, even if it's just to drop by and say hey. Yeah, and I think that's going to do it today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And of course, I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.